We need automation that actually feels human. The real unlock is knowing which buyer signals actually matter.
All right, welcome back, folks, to the HubSpot Hints podcast, where we dig into what actually works inside of HubSpot, the strategies, the tools, and the behind-the-scenes wins that most teams never hear. So today, I'm joined by my co-founder and co-host. He's the tech brain behind Hintible. This is Mike Thatcher. So, Mike, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks. Always happy to be here.
Yeah, and we work together every day, but most listeners don't know your path sort of before Hintible. How did you get started in all this? Take me back to the Xima days.
Yeah, so back in 2007, we started Xima Software as a telecom company. There was a big hole in the market at the time for reporting. So you had all of these companies using all these phone systems as an integral part of their business, but they didn't have a good way to report on it. All the reporting solutions out there they were terrible. And so we came in saying, you know what, we can do this way better, and recognizing how important the data was. And so we did, right? We spun up Xima and started just helping people really, really understand what was happening in their call centers and their businesses, and helping them make use of that data to really capitalize on the people that they're investing in.
Yeah. What I love about your story and the story of Xima is sort of your grassroots kind of humble beginnings. I remember going over to your office the first time. It was a beautiful office. You guys had a basketball court in the lobby and everything. But I remember right off to the right when you walk in, there was this like framed picture of some shag carpet from your first headquarters. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so when we started, it was just me, my brother, and one of our buddies, and we started just in my parents' basement. So we were down there, basically posing as this giant company, right? And we had the phone system set up. So when you'd call into the phone system, it would say, hey, thanks for calling the international headquarters of Xima Software. Press 1 for sales, press 2 for support, things like that. And they would all just route to me and my brother, Nate. And the whole idea there was we wanted people to be able to trust us. And at the time, it wasn't very common to have a big software business with just a couple guys, right? And so we started in the basement and we didn't use the floor mats, hence the green shaggy carpet that got all torn up. Eventually, we outgrew that, right? And then moved and hired some more guys and just grew from there. And then eventually grew large enough to sell it.
Yeah, that's an awesome story. I love when companies have like something interesting about how they founded it. You know, it wasn't a typical VC story where you got a bunch of funding from some venture capitalists, and from day one, you guys had all the resources that you needed. I mean, you guys bootstrapped this thing the entire way from beginning to exit, right? But that's pretty unique nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason we were able to do that is because we had the tech skill, right? But then we also were selling through partners that really understood the industry and that we had a really good relationship with, so that they could let us know exactly what the software needed to be successful, right? And to help them win business. And so by having that amazing insight, we didn't waste all this time developing things that our customers didn't need or didn't want. So it ended up being a really powerful combination, the channel sales with the powerful development, and just really had an awesome thing there with some amazing partners that did some great things. And we helped them big time because they're selling phone systems that all their customers want the data, right? And that's so important, but that just wasn't available. So it was a great time, really good time. And we had an amazing group of people, and growing from nothing without all of that, like capital influx, we grew an amazing culture too. We still, to this day, all of those original, the original group, we still get together. I think, is it the 15th? So a week from today, we have a little Christmas party scheduled that we're all getting together and having the white elephant. So it creates an awesome thing when you're able to have a small, intimate group that's bootstrapped and not just influxed with a bunch of capital to spend.
Yeah, that's awesome. Sort of shifting gears. So now you're working on Hintible, and I should edit that. Now we're working on Hintible, and you've kind of gone head first into HubSpot. That was our first major integration, and so as we've learned more and more about HubSpot, about the ecosystem around HubSpot, what are your thoughts on sort of like on HubSpot as a platform and our unique perspective of integrating a piece of software into it? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so HubSpot's really, really powerful. That's one of the pieces that was missing when we started Xima. It was we had all this data, but then how do you take that data and make it part of your processes, part of the things that you just do naturally, right? HubSpot's amazing in that it can take all these different parts of your organization and help them work together. So integrating with it it's been a fun challenge, but really powerful because there's a lot of powerful stuff that you can do within HubSpot. At the same time, there's a lot of things that HubSpot doesn't necessarily come with out of the box. And so their development allows you to add that functionality to it and to integrate things like Xima, right? So that it really just meshes in there and connects with your processes and connects with your people in a way that doesn't have to disrupt what they're doing. It's really powerful what HubSpot's able to do, and then even more powerful what you're able to do developing through and with HubSpot.
Yeah, because they could sort of give you that flexibility to do, a lot of cool stuff beyond what they offer. And as we've met more and more HubSpot Solutions partners and kind of teamed up with them, one thing that we've started to see is that a lot of them now have their own sort of like in-house engineer, so that they can do things like you're talking about. Like, why is that so important nowadays? If you're a HubSpot partner,
that's a good question. So it's luckily edits all this out, right? That's really powerful because there's so much that you can do, but everyone's use cases are a little bit different, right? And so by having a developer that's able to say, "Oh, yeah, I know exactly where this can go in HubSpot to make your processes smoother," becomes a game changer. There are a lot of solutions out there, but everyone still has their own. This is how we do this. This is how we do this. This is how we want to do this, and we would do this way if we could have this data here or things like that. So by having a in-house developer that's specialized in HubSpot, you're able to put that data exactly where it needs to be. You're able to trigger things exactly where you want them. And there's just, again, so much power in the HubSpot development APIs. So you can do so much more than HubSpot has out of the box. Again, HubSpot has so much out of the box, but by just having a little bit of code, you're able to really, really capitalize and really cater those things to your customer.
right? Well, and to your point, I mean, HubSpot does have a lot of things out of the box, and it's awesome, and we love promoting them. But it's so widely adopted and it's so widely used that it's basically kind of like table stakes. And so what we've seen is that the companies, the users, the teams, and the partners that really stand out within the HubSpot ecosystem are the ones that aren't afraid to integrate apps, whether from the marketplace or elsewhere. They're not afraid to try things like Hintible, like the product that we offer, and that they're not afraid to get into the deep end of development, because that's where, again, like you said, that's where you're really able to like customize this powerful tool to a very unique use case. And every company is so different, and especially if you're a partner or agency and you work with lots of different types of companies, like the amount of or the variety of companies that we've seen using HubSpot is just phenomenal. Like, it's insane how you could go from like, the healthcare industry to like the auto repair industry to like real estate. Like, they just cover everything, and there's so much nuance. Like, the experts really, really understand the nuance of each use case for each particular vertical, and to be able to have the freedom to just change stuff is like, it's so cool.
Yeah, it's absolutely right. And like, HubSpot's made to be a one size fits all type of thing, right? And they have their different tiers to help you fit those sizes. But there's only so much power you can get with something that is so generic, right? In order to really, really take advantage of it, you want to have those third-party apps, or you want to have that development that you bring in-house. There are those little things you do to kind of up the game a little bit, which is why, like in sports, right, you're not typically seeing NBA players running around with Walmart brand shoes, right? There's a lot of benefit you get from these little specialized things that are made specifically for this player, for this company, for this industry, and for this use case, right? But that's the cool thing about HubSpot too, is their marketplace is vast, right? There's a lot you can do with that. And then if you can't do it there, there's a lot you can do with development. So it really lets the partners specialize this and say like, okay, here's this customer, this is what they need. Awesome. We can absolutely accomplish that. Here's what we do. And it only takes a little bit of development in most cases for those one-off things, right? Mm-hmm. If you're going to make it more generic and roll another platform or another solution like Hintible, there's a lot more that goes into that. But like I have this use case, an in-house developer is really, really, really powerful for that.
Yeah. And I think if you were to step back and look at like, what's the end goal of all these, features within HubSpot and all these integrations that you can cobble together in order to make it work for use case. I think if you zoom out, like really what we're trying to do is to get like hyper focused and hyper personalized on an individual, on a specific contact, whether that's a lead, a prospect, a customer, however you look at that. And all these tools should be helping you get to that sort of like authentic personalization where this feels like, oh, they're talking to me, right? And that's kind of one of the reasons why we built Hintible, in order to do that on the video side of things when it comes to HubSpot.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. People don't want to be treated as just like another number, right? People want to be treated as individuals. And that's how you close those sales, is by actually recognizing that person as an individual, recognizing what their needs are, being able to give them what they need, and again, helping them feel like you see and understand them, right? And so HubSpot really, really helps with that. But again, what helps with that even more is not taking the one size fits all, but giving them what they need. Now, in some cases, certainly, HubSpot just raw is going to give you what that company needs, right? And they're kind of a square one where all they need is a place to manage this, keep track of all their contacts and help them, push things forward. But really, each customer has specific needs that you can help address, and you can help them be more successful in their industry by understanding those specific needs and helping them address them.
Right. Yeah. Couldn't agree more. And that's why I really love HubSpot's push into AI. Like they're constantly adding more AI capabilities to their platform. Now, personally, I still use AI outside of HubSpot a lot more for various things. How has AI changed your sort of like day-to-day like playbook?
It's a completely different world. I spend most of my time developing, right? And the ease at which you can develop is just doesn't even compare to where we were a year ago, 2 years ago. So using tools like Cursor or like Copilot, things like that, you can accomplish what used to take you hours and hours. And it used to be that you would look at things and say like, you know what, I'm not going to do that because that's going to take too long. And like the return on that's going to be pretty small or whatever. But now it's we can throw that in. That's going to take me another 5 minutes. Awesome. Let's do that. Let's make the user's life easier and better. And it only costs you 5 minutes. Right. Whereas historically it's like, this is a whole thing that I got to do here. So you just don't do it. Now you roll it out really quick, really easy. So it's amazing. It's amazing what AI enables from a development perspective, right? And then from a business perspective, same thing. And like our partners will use this to say like, okay, here's this customer. Tell me about their industry. Teach me about this industry. Teach me about this. How can I speak to this customer, or what needs would this customer have that like may not be obvious, but I can present a solution for that, right? So like AI does so many amazing things. I mean, this, everyone that's listening to this knows this, but it's also incredible to me that people aren't recognizing just how much it can do for them and for their business processes, for their everything. and how often I talk to people that are still not like fully fluent, if you will, in AI, and don't recognize all the places that it can help them out and make life better, let alone business, right? Like it's amazing. And so for Hintible, right, we use that in all sorts of places. Anything that would take a bunch of effort, we make AI do that, right? For the customer, right? Obviously for development as well, it helps us there. But like for the customer, like we do interactive video journeys, right? Building an interactive video journey, it's like, okay, there's a lot of thought that has to go into that. What questions do I want to ask? Like, how can I lead the customer on to the next point and help them feel like they're getting the right solution, right? There's a lot of mental process there, but AI can do that really, really well, right? So it's like, okay, build me a journey that takes the customer through this and like sells them on this product, right? And it's able to build that for you, give you exact scripts that you want, and then take a minute or two to record those videos, and boom, now you've got an interactive journey that's essentially selling your product for you with that reinforcement of the customer's choices and everything. Like it becomes so easy when you use AI because you don't have to do any of this. Now, obviously you can go back through and like tweak everything the AI does or says because maybe it didn't fit your brand. But that's, I think, one of the things that people don't realize is that if it's not fitting your brand, that doesn't mean the AI is failing. That just means you need to teach AI a little bit more about your brand, right?
Right.
And so it's really powerful and really easy to get some amazing things out of that. And it's going to continue to change and revolutionize the sales world, the software world, like everything. I'm excited to see where it goes.
And what's exciting about Hintable is you're kind of describing how it's a little bit of a more complicated, sophisticated way of thinking about video, but luckily we have AI to help streamline that, because you can kind of think of Hintable as like a video workflow. And for those of you that have been around long enough to have only built your workflows manually in HubSpot, I know they have some AI features now, but like building a workflow takes a little bit of time. It takes a little bit of thought. You know, of course you can use templates, but those typically aren't exactly what you need for your use case. But just to have that ability to be like, okay, here is what I want to happen with this viewer and where I want to take them. And depending on which path they take, here are some automations I want to trigger. You know, here's some places I want to send them. Like, to have AI help you orchestrate that so that in the end, all you need is sort of like your face. You just need your authentic face in order to sort of like present that to somebody, you know, through the video after recording it. I mean, yeah, I'm super excited about where that takes us, because all of a sudden you have sort of like a lot of the intelligence that you've already had in your marketing strategies and your workflows in HubSpot. And if you think about applying that to video, it's like, wow, that opens up some really interesting doors of like what you can do with video now.
Absolutely. One of the things that you hit on there is having your face there, right? It is really easy now as we look at AI to be like, why can AI not just write all of our copy? And it 100% can. The challenge that people run into, or maybe they don't recognize this as a challenge, but they need to be recognizing this as a challenge, is that when somebody gets a message from you, if it poses as knowing you, nowadays people have gotten enough AI messages that they know, like, this is just AI that generated this. So there's almost like a level of deception that's in there, which right from the get-go, if they detect that from your messaging, says, oh, I can't trust this company, right? Now, we want to do that because we want to have these personalized messages, right? But the challenge with that is being authentic, right? And so how do you do that? How do you send that message that knows about their background, knows about, you know, this, that, or the other that's common in their locale, right? It's really hard to do that and be authentic because guess what? You didn't actually research that and you're posing as yourself. And so that's one of the cool things I think about the video side of it, is that even if that data is completely fake, just the fact that you are speaking it and saying those things, suddenly you can have this personalized message to them that's AI personalized, that goes from being creepy to being actually personalized because you took a second to record that, right? And so it's this weird balance of like, yeah, we want customers to feel like we know them. We want them to feel like we understand them. But I think Michael, who we were talking to the other day, put it perfectly, and you can probably phrase this better than I can or repeat it better than I can. But people want a brand to know them. They don't necessarily want an individual to know them. And so there's this, I guess, this challenge that people face wanting to use AI to do all of this outreach, but then also not wanting to come off as deceptive to their customers. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think most people don't really understand that that's what's happening. That's what's happening when their personalized AI generated messages are being rejected. Is there's this sort of like subconscious rebuttal to that, and the people receiving it, I think, don't even catch on to it. Don't even catch on to this. But for some reason, if your message feels disingenuous, which most AI generated copy does, there's a reflexive response to that, and it's usually negative. Versus if somebody,
it's not even just feels disingenuous. I know in my mind that there's no way that this random guy from Pittsburgh knows this information about me. And I know in my mind there's no way he took the time to like research me sufficiently to learn this, right? So even if it sounds 100% real, I know that's not real, right? And so like right from the get-go, I'm like, yeah, you're trying to deceive me. Now, granted, I know that he knows that it's not real, right? So there's kind of this understood, like, yeah, we both understand that you're just faking this, right? But then it goes from having the benefit of personalization to like, now you're just a bunch more AI noise that's coming in my inbox, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but there's something about video in particular that cuts through that, and I think that's why the format and the medium is just so powerful and kind of like reigns supreme when it comes to like all these different formats, all these different ways that you can communicate with people. Video is still, even to this day, with how good AI is, it's still very hard to fake. But if it's genuinely you, people just have like a spidey sense. They just know, oh, that's real. Like that's cool that they sent me a video.
Right. Again, there's power in that, right? But you also have the flip side, right? We've got this mode of everyone wants to automate everything, right? I've got AI that can do 90% of my sales job for me now, right? So like, why would I take time to do this recording when something can do it for me automatically, right? And so that's a genuine, like valid concern and thought, right? So what do you think? Why? What's the answer to that, Andy?
I think the answer to that is TBD. Because like as AI gets better and better and better, eventually we can see a path to where it's imperceivably different from any video that's recorded authentically with a real person. And once it gets to that point, I'm not exactly sure how people will react to video after that. Like there's an inflection point. And once we cross that, where it's like, okay, now you can't believe anything that you see, like anything on social media, any post, you can't believe it. This famous person said this, or this political, pundit said this, and it's like, did they? Right? Like, did they actually say it? Did they do that? Like, so that could create distrust. Maybe this is something we cut out. I don't know. That's not great.
No, I think this is really valid, because the thing that we need to be remembering and thinking about, and I think sometimes as like RevOps, we forget to think through this side of it. We're thinking like, okay, how do all the pieces move together? How do I hand off here to here to here? We need to remember what the customer's journey is, right? What's their perception? When I get an email that sounds personalized but isn't, like, okay, not great, right? When I get an email that has like a personalized video in it, right? Okay, I'm busy, but maybe I watch it or whatever, right? There's a different journey there. And so if it gets to that point where like, yeah, every video I can't believe, then that customer, I don't know, it's not a great journey. Like the customer life kind of stinks already, and it's going to get worse and worse as we have just a bunch of AI bots like throwing everything at us. Now, ideally, AI is able to like filter it through. So like it gives me exactly what I need, right? And we don't have that noise anymore. But until that point comes, Like, we need to be mindful of what are we giving this user, because they're getting so much noise from AI, from businesses, from everything. So what are we giving them? And is it, one, worth their time? And two, is it actually genuine, right? And there's a challenge there for sure, because it takes time to record those things. Now, things like Hintible, we make it so it's super easy to record a ton of videos really fast back to back, right? And so you can knock out 1,000 in a day. But that doesn't mean that's 0 seconds, right? There's time that goes into that. And then the question is that time valuable to your company, to your brand, to your customers' perception of your brand, and to their connection with your product, right? And it's going to be different for every company, right? But I just worry that it's going to be really hard, or increasingly hard, for companies to come across as genuine as we rely so much more on AI. And again, I'm not advocating against AI for even half a second here. I just think that people need to be mindful of that connection and of that perception.
Right. Yeah, because it levels the playing field. So like now a small company using AI can have, sort of like the same type of messaging on par with a large enterprise company. And so really it comes down to like, do you have the internal team, the real people with the right experience, the right insights that can help create that separation, right? And that's where video gives all sorts of people, all sorts of teams an advantage of like, well, I have this person, all I need to do is get this person in front of people, and we get customers like that, right?
That's exactly right. At the same time, though, you bring up an interesting point with like high quality video, right, or high quality print or whatever, right, copy. That has historically been really good, but there are certainly times where that's not what flies, right? We've got plenty of partners that what gets them that sale is that they're the man, right? It's not that it's a team of 100. It's like, you're the guy. When I have a problem, I'm going to call you, and you're the head of this organization, and you're going to fix this problem for me, right? And there's something about that smaller, not giant, big budget marketing thing, right? So kind of those, there's plenty of studies about the videos, right? Selfie videos, how they're just much more relatable. People engage with them much more. They're not high production, right? There's value in that. And I think that's one of the things that people need to start balancing. And they need to recognize like, oh, you know what? My brand actually has value from not being this big behemoth, right? From not being VC backed or whatever. And so kind of leaning into that, which actually we've seen that a ton, that people have a hard time with that, right? They want to make sure like their video is perfect, their hair's done perfect, or, this, that, or the other before they record. And frequently they don't understand the value that comes from their hair not being perfect. Because again, going back to differentiating yourself from AI, you got a messed up hairdo, you say things wrong, that's very clear that, okay, this isn't AI. Now, eventually AI is going to throw that stuff in there as well, right? So it'll seem more legit or more real, authentic.
Yeah. The imperfections are what make us authentic. And
yeah, and it's what helps people connect.
Yeah. And if something's overproduced, it's not going to perform as well, particularly on social. Like that's that paradigm shift where social changed the game for video. Right now we're in the middle of another paradigm shift with AI generated content, but most of it's slop. It's being defined as garbage, right? And so that's not something that we want to rely on when it comes to, building connections, building trust, because B2B is still very interpersonal. You still got to build relationships with these companies that you're doing deals with. So, well,
absolutely.
I think that's a good place to end it. So that we'll just wrap it up. So this has been another great episode of the HubSpot Hints podcast. You know where to find us, HubSpotHints.com. We're on YouTube, Spotify, and then obviously you can check out Hintible at Hintible.com. So Mike, it's been great, and we'll get back to work.
Sounds good. See you guys.